in order to get what we want, a willingness to adapt is essential. The only thing that we can control is us. You're worthy because you're breathing. Like, that's it. There's nothing for you to do. You're worthy. You deserve happiness and success. You are enough, and you get to want more.
This is the Energy Within podcast, all about accessing, nurturing, and building your energy and confidence so that you can design your life the way you want. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and I am so excited to give you this interview with Mindi Huebner. I'm looking at her name and my brain says it wrong first and then I have to correct myself before it comes out of my mouth. But Mindi Huebner is a life on purpose coach, and I love that she calls herself a type A hippie. You're going to need to listen to this episode more than once. I'm just telling you right now. So download this one for sure. I want you to download all of them, obviously, but download this one, save it, and come back to it over and over again and again and again, because we go through so much, but it's all so good. And you'll hear Mindi kind of grab me at the end and remind me one thing at a time, which is why you're going to need to come back to this episode more than once. Take one nugget from it, implement that, and then come back for the next one. There is a certain type of energy that Mindi talks about that we all need to be living in, and in the best way possible. There's a couple different ways you can look at this, and I bring that up at one point. So we do talk about the opposite side of it, but we want to focus on looking at the positive side, expecting the positive things, but also being prepared so that we're ready to handle whatever comes our way. We're still human. Things are going to happen. But the way Mindi talks about this topic is so good. And honestly, I think one of the best ways anyone's ever described this for me. So I won't keep babbling too much. I won't keep you from this episode any longer because there's so much to go over. You will love this episode, and I want to hear all about it. So please jump into the Energy Within Facebook group, or even just simply grab a screenshot or a screen flow, put it up on your social media, tag me and tag Mindi, and let us know what stuck out to you. Here we go. So Mindi, I have been looking forward to this interview. I'm so excited that it's finally here. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm absolutely honored. Can't wait to dive in with you and really share some transformational things with your audience.
And how cool to find out that we don't live all that far from each other, too.
I know. It really is a small world, isn't it?
So why don't you start out by just explaining who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Mindi Huebner. I am a life on purpose coach. I would call myself a type A hippie. And I work with women in business mostly. I do have a couple of clients that aren't in business. I work with women in business to crush their negative thought patterns, shift those self-sabotaging habits that we tend to fall into so that they can make small shifts in their thoughts, beliefs, and habits to really create massive change. I call it unlocking their magic. And it really, I know this is so cliche, sets my heart on fire. I love what I do. And when people say, oh, if you won the lottery, would you still do your job? Yeah, just from Greece, just from the beach. Yeah, I absolutely would. Because I love seeing women believe in their limitlessness like I believe in their limitlessness. Mm-hmm. It is such a privilege and honor to hold space for women to step into the things that they doubt, their worthiness, their capability, their possibility, right?
Yeah.
All of those things. And so it just is like, my cup overflows. Yeah.
That's funny because I identify with like every level of what you just said. Like I love doing Reiki so much. That's what sets my heart on fire. That's how I know I'm on the right path. But then I still am struggling with negative thought patterns and doubting myself. And that's just aside from the fact that you are an absolute joy. I've just loved being in your presence. I'm so excited to talk about what you help women with. So why don't we start with this idea of mental rehearsal? What exactly is that, and how do we use that to help us?
Absolutely. So we are all rehearsing our lives on a regular basis. We are in our head going to the worst what if, right? Mm-hmm. We are seeing things play out in the negative. And there is no judgment. This is all about curiosity. We're going to get curious about how our brain works, about why we do what we do because of the way our brain works. And then we're going to say, what can I do different? And how can I change this? And so mental rehearsal, world famous athletes, Phelps, Michael Phelps, uses mental rehearsal like Olympic athletes, famous musicians. They think about what's going to happen in their head, but it's more than thinking about it. So Michael Phelps won a gold medal several years ago. He had mentally rehearsed his race. Plan A. This is plan A. This is where I'm inviting you all to start, is plan A, mentally rehearsing the best outcome. I mentally rehearse everything. So in like a 3-second span, because it's so natural for me, I mentally rehearsed this interview and the outcome, this is the most important part. We mentally rehearse with a well-formed outcome. So the outcome was, of course, you and I were smiling, laughing, having an amazing time, and shared transformational information, right? That mm-hmm. lives were changed over it. So we rehearsed plan A, which is everything goes spectacularly and the outcome is met, the outcome that we want. Well, Michael Phelps knows, right, that there's plan B and plan C too. And so plan B is, didn't quite the path, but I still got where I wanted. And C is even more, the path got crazy, but it still ended up where I wanted. So he won a gold medal by mentally rehearsing, getting water in his goggles and not being able to see the lane at all, and still winning a gold medal because that was the outcome that he was focused on. And so because he mentally rehearsed with issues, right? He mentally mm-hmm. rehearsed A, B, and C. His brain didn't freak out. And this is what happens to us. It didn't go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We've never been here before. Fear, paralyzed, can't move. Let's quit, right? Because this is how we're wired. Instead, his brain was like, oh yeah, we've been here before. No big deal. We're going to win. Now I'm simplifying that.
Right.
But that's all that matters. Like really, that's all that we need to know. So that is mental rehearsal, is visualization on steroids. We know what we want. We have this really well-formed outcome, and it can literally be, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water today. Like, this does not have to be some life-changing gold medal race, right? You get to start wherever you want to start. I'm going to talk kinder to myself every time I look in the mirror today. Like, you really get to start wherever you want. And I'm encouraging everyone to start where they're at and start small and practice. So we have a well-formed outcome, and then we more than visualize ourselves. We don't just see it. We hear it. We smell it. We taste it. We feel it. We dive into a swimming pool like it's permeating us. It's in every cell of our body, of this outcome that we want and us being amazing in it. So we're training. Here's how our brain works. One thing I didn't say at the very beginning, I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist.
Oh yeah.
Your brain controls your body. Your brain controls your body. And this is where all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So here you're doing a little self-hypnosis as well when you're doing the mental rehearsal. You tell your brain, and then you bring your body on board with it. So how is it going to feel in my body when I look in the mirror and say nice things about myself? Mm-hmm. What am I going to hear? What am I going to see? I'm going to see myself smiling. I'm going to, put my hand over my heart. I'm going to feel in my body kindness and gratitude. Like rehearse it all of it. What else am I going to hear? Is there music playing in the background? Is my favorite song on? Do I hear my child standing next to me saying, "Mommy, you're so pretty"? Like what else, what else am I hearing? And what am I smelling? Do I have incense going? Do I have some essential oil? Is it the summer breeze coming in, fresh cut grass, like all of it, every bit of it, so that your senses are just so like, this is a movie that I'm in. What you're doing is training and priming your brain. And so when you show up in this, your brain's like, yeah, we're not afraid. We have done this before. Our brains don't know the difference between real and imagined.
Yeah.
So our brain goes, oh yeah, we talked nice to ourselves this morning in our mind, right? We already did this. We can do it again. Mm-hmm. And we create those small wins to start shifting our RAS, our reticular activating system. This is a filter in your brain, and it will only let in what is in your consciousness. And so if your current habit is to say not nice things about yourself, or to not drink water and say, I hate water, right? It's only going to let in, because it deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on your consciousness, based on what you have let in already. And I'll give you an example of that in just a sec. So it will start letting in when we get these small wins from our mental rehearsal. We'll start letting those things in. And now we're retraining our brain or training it to recognize this self-love, this kindness, this self-care, this worthiness, if you will, for ourselves. And so then it will see it like, oh, this is who we are. This is in our identity now. We are women who say nice things to ourselves. We are women who hydrate, because hydrated women run the damn world. Okay. Like we are women who, and we identify with this at the I am level, because these are some of the most powerful words you will ever say. Mm-hmm. And I know that every one of your listeners now is saying to themselves, what do I say after I am? And a lot of times we do not say empowering things after that. Right. And we prove it, because the way our brain works is we think a thought, I am overwhelmed. Okay. When we say that, I am overwhelmed. And I'm not saying you don't experience overwhelm, but you don't have to be the poster child of overwhelm either, right? You don't have to claim that crown. So I am overwhelmed. I think it creates emotion and feeling in my body that we all know what it feels like to be overwhelmed, right? So we think it, we feel it, then we believe it. Well, I'm overwhelmed. Like this is my identity. And we create a habit to prove it to ourselves every single time. This is how powerful we are. We create habits that prove our thoughts to us. So every time we think I'm overwhelmed, you feel overwhelmed in your body. And then your habit is to say I'm overwhelmed, do whatever the next thing is that you do to prove to yourself that you're overwhelmed. We all have different things. And I can't say this enough throughout this interview, and I'll say it over and over again. There is no judgment here. This is getting curious about the way we're currently operating. I'm telling you how powerful you are. This is how powerful you are. You've created this. You can create something greater. You can create something that serves you. Now you're recognizing it. Now you can bring it in, and your brain can quit deleting, distorting, and generalizing based on the identity of I am overwhelmed, right? Or I am the woman who doesn't talk nice to herself, like whatever it is, right? That kind of thing. So mental rehearsal sets us up for small wins that then can be greater wins. So I started to say that I mentally rehearsed this. And of course, I mentally rehearsed plan A, which is what I'm encouraging everyone to start with. Just go with plan A, right? And then when you get better at it, you'll start doing B and C. Plan A was perfection. Plan B was some technical difficulties. And we had some, didn't we? But the outcome is going to be the same, Carrie. It's going to be amazing. It is. And the reason that when we get better at it, we practice with the bumps in the road is so that we can still control the only thing that we can ever control, how we show up, who we are being in it. Because can we let technology really upset us? Like, can we let that stuff fluster us sometimes? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Right? We totally can. And then we're letting go of our power. We're letting go of the only thing we can control, which is who we are being. So in my mental rehearsal, even if there's technical difficulties, I'm not going to freak out. Even if, knock on wood, the Zoom cuts out, right? Like, and you have to restart any of that. It's all going to be great. It's going to be great because this is life. And the end is going to be some transformational information.
Oh God, everyone needs to hear everything that you just said. We need to find a way to get this to everyone in the world because this is so important.
I do have secret sauce for your mental rehearsal. So this will be the game changer in your mental rehearsal. So remember, when you're mentally rehearsing, you are seeing and you're feeling and you're tasting and you're smelling and you're all of it, swimming pool, right? Diving into it, seeing yourself in a movie. Now I want you to take your of course energy and be in your of course energy.
I have to interrupt you real quick because I was really curious about that in your message, because when I was reading it, like, it made sense the way I read it, but then I'm like, did she mean to put of course there? Did she mean to put that somewhere else in the sentence? Is that a typo? Like, but I get it now. Your of course energy.
So our of course energy is the opposite of hopey, wishy. I hope so, right? So hopey, wishy energy, wanting energy has disbelief in it, period. Mm-hmm. You can feel it. Like, everybody right now, if you go, I hope so, your like chest rises up, it gets a little bit of tight. You feel the disbelief in there because you're wishing. So
I've been living in that energy lately, if I'm honest. I have been.
Okay.
I feel it.
Yeah. So here's what you get to. Bravo for recognizing. Just getting curious, right? Like, how do we make a shift? We recognize it first. Mm-hmm. And we're ready to recognize it and know that we can have better, right? Like, we can have more for ourselves. So hopey, wishy, wanting energy on one hand, when we flip that over, we have, of course, having energy. If we have something, we don't want it, right? We already have it. It's already ours. So when I ask you to get into your of course energy, here's the easiest example. When you wake up in the morning, what is the very first thing that you do without fail? Like, the very first thing that you do?
Well, I'm usually putting out a fire in the morning because I get woken up by the tiny alarm clock that I created.
Okay. We're going to pause that. We're going to pause that energy.
But I get myself a cup of coffee.
Okay. So, of course, you get a cup of coffee. Like, a herd of buffaloes would have to come through the kitchen for you to not get the cup of coffee. Is that fair to say? Like, this is your, of course, you don't even think about it. Right? Like, of course, I opened my laptop 10 minutes before we were going to do this to be on this interview. Of course I did. Of course I get a big glass of water in the morning. And let's just be honest, the very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, this is my of course energy, is go to the bathroom. Okay? Yeah. That's my, of course, there's nothing going to stop me. There's no question. I'm in the bathroom and then I'm brushing my teeth. Like, those are, I'm not even awake as I'm doing those two things. Right. And then I'm having water. And then I got a lot of course energy, a lot of it. So I want you to take your of course energy, no matter how silly you think it is, because this is your having energy. It's not even a thought. Of course I'm going to do this. Right. Of course I'm going to snuggle with my little fire maker. Right?
Yep.
So we take that of course energy and we copy and paste it into our mental rehearsal. Of course, this is going to work out. Of course, I'm going to say nice things to myself. Of course. And we pull that, of course, energy into it. And this is the secret sauce. This is the difference between wishing in a visualization, right? And manifesting and actually creating the reality that you want. Mm-hmm. Here's why we take our, of course, energy in. This builds our self-esteem. Self-esteem, self-confidence is like there's multiple definitions for it, right? It's not just one definition. So one is deserving of happiness and success. Like, this is self-esteem. I'm worthy. I deserve happiness and success. It's the truth about you, about everyone listening, everyone not listening. You're worthy because you're breathing. Like, that's it. Yeah. There's nothing for you to do. You're worthy. You deserve happiness and success. It's also reminding future self that past self knows how to show up for us, and we have made it through in our lives, because here we are.
Yeah.
And so it's building our self-esteem. Every time we remind future self about past self, and every time current self can say to future self, we got this, past self showed up. Like we got this. We have been this path before. So this builds our self-esteem, builds our self-confidence. And every time we then build this up for ourselves, we have more of course energy. Well, of course, because look at past self. She shows up. She's a boss, right? Look at these times that life threw stuff at us. And here we are on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the other side. I'm not saying how beautiful we are on the other side. I'm saying that we are on the other side every time.
Yeah.
If we're here, we're on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
So you just built your self-esteem and you're building your, of course, energy. And so that is the secret sauce to mental rehearsal. You are doing so many things for yourself when you do that, building proof, creating that new filter, new neural pathways, new habits for your brain and body.
Mm-hmm.
So much. We're creating so much when we just take the time to mentally rehearse that way.
And getting ourselves out of that opposite, of course, where I know a lot of people, and sometimes myself included, have gone, well, like, of course I failed. Of course I sucked, like that opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for, and that's when you said, I have fires to put out. I'm like, okay, that we're going to move away from that particular energy, because your, of course, energy is not only, of course I did it. It's, of course you accomplished in a way that served you.
Yep.
Right? Like, right. And if you notice, of course I brushed my teeth. Okay. That's not really earth shattering, but there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Like this is what's happening. Right. And so when we can practice those little small pieces like that, then we build that esteem, we build that confidence, we build that. And our mind says, oh, we've been here before. We know how to do this. Mm-hmm. We can absolutely unpack the, of course, energy that doesn't serve you as well. Those limiting beliefs. We can unpack that too.
Yeah. Like I said, I know I fall into that a lot, and I have, some people around me who are in that energy a lot, and it's difficult because when you can't change somebody else or what they're thinking, or they're not open to it, then you kind of get stuck, and it's like, well, you don't want to absorb that energy into yourself then, because then you start taking on those thoughts and that way of thinking. So.
And so this is the perfect segue into living at cause or living at effect. So these are all tools and things that I share all the time. Like anywhere that you can find me, I'm sharing this, and go even deeper with my clients on these things, right? And so again, all about curiosity, getting curious, not judging. There's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no guilt in this. How often we get to all ask ourselves, are we living at cause or are we living at effect? When we live at effect, we get a list of reasons, excuses why our life is not what we want it to be, why anything is not what we want it to be. And when we're living at effect, we are in essence, we have no control. So if you are a self-described control freak, and I'm here for it, right? If you say that, like, I like control, this is not the place you want to live, is in effect. And yet, a lot of people I know that would say that to themselves, say out loud, like, I'm a control freak, or I like to be in control, that kind of a thing. Live at effect. And effect is the wind blew, the economy, my kids, the driver who cut me off in traffic, all of that, right? All letting those things then dictate how we show up. We can't control any of that, can we?
Right.
Like literally, not the only thing that we can control is us.
Yeah.
Who we are being. What is our identity? Am I embracing the identity of someone who blames everything else for not having the results that I want in my life? Or am I recognizing now this is not serving me? Living at effect does not serve me. I don't get any results. I don't get the things that I deserve, that I desire so deeply. So then we say, okay, well, the opposite of that is living at cause. When we live at cause, we get a list of results. We don't always love them. Let's be fair. We don't. However, we are responsible. Like we are in control when we live at cause. And so I know that you're taking higher levels of Reiki, right?
Yep.
So if you don't show up for class, you're not going to learn.
Right.
Let's be fair. There could be things that happen in your life that you don't have any control over that could make it difficult to show up. And so you could be at effect and be like, well, the kids and the this and the that, and I didn't have time. And right. Or, okay, what can I control in this? I can control me. I'm going to have to reschedule. Like I know that there is not time because these other things need to happen. This is being responsible. It's not always the result we want. The result would then be you'd have to reschedule a class, right? However, you are getting a result. You're not just getting a list of reasons why shit's not happening in your life, right? So living at cause, we get a list of results. Here's the beauty of those results. You know what you can create already. We've talked about how powerful you are, right? And so if the results are not exactly what you want, then you say, okay, well, who am I being? What identity am I embodying? And what do I want to achieve from this? And then we look at, okay, I want to drink 8 glasses of water every day, right? These are just simple things, okay? And am I being the woman who drinks 8 glasses of water every day? Well, I'm not being her if I'm saying I hate water, right? Because the woman who drinks 8 glasses of water every day finds reasons to not hate water.
Right.
I'm not saying she falls in love with it, but she finds reasons to not hate it, right? And so whatever that outcome is, okay, well, so I want the outcome to be 8 glasses of water. And I found that at the end of the day, I got in 4. Where can I make some changes? What am I willing? And in order to get what we want, we really have to be willing, have to. In order to get what we want, a willingness to adapt is essential.
Yeah.
Let's say it that way. So if I want to be drinking 8 glasses of water a day and I am in an office where I have to bring my water, right? Like that's not accessible there. What do I get to do to set myself up for success? Bring enough for 8 glasses, right? Like what am I willing to change when it's not accessible at the place that I'm going to be? And yet this is still who I want to be. I want to be the woman who drinks the water.
Yeah.
Is that I wanted to keep it really simplistic so that you could see like living at effect. When we live at cause, we are responsible for the results in our lives, which also means we get to be willing to shift behaviors, to shift thought patterns, to shift beliefs about ourselves in order to get what we really want, the results that we really want.
Yeah. And knowing that we have that power, because I think a lot of people that I run into, and I'm sure I've been in this place before myself, like just not remembering how powerful we are, like you were saying, like, but once we realize that we can change, we can adapt and adopt new beliefs and things like that. Once we understand that we have created whatever we think sucks, that we had a part in creating it. Well, like you said, if we can create that, well, of course we can create something else and we can create something better. So coming from that place of understanding how much power we actually do have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's definitely stepping into your worthiness. And here's, you get to hold 2 truths. You are enough and you get to want more. Like they don't cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Wanting to up level, wanting to get your next level Reiki doesn't mean that where you're at now isn't good enough.
Right.
It's awesome. You are enough and you get to want more. You get to evolve. You get to step into your next best self, the next best version of you. It's not saying that this current version of you isn't enough. Just saying you want more.
Yeah. And I want to go back a little bit to that idea of being adaptable, because I know I've heard that before about that mental rehearsal idea and kind of planning out, well, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens, then I'll do this. So then, like you said, you're already prepared and it doesn't freak you out.
Right. So even when, right, what if we mentally rehearse and still like, well, this isn't how it happened. The only thing that we can control is us. So ask yourself, what strategies am I currently using that end me up in the freak out place, right? And this is a practice, and everything that we're talking about is a practice. Like we're practicing this. We're trying it on, not trying's a garbage word, right? Like I'm going to try to put on my glasses. No, they're either going to go on or they're not.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're trying, I'm asking you to shift that wording to I'm trying it on. Just like you try on a dress, you try on a shirt, you try on a pair of shoes, right? You actually put it on and maneuver the world in it for a few minutes, right? Or for longer, so that you can see how it is. Not just, oh, I'm going to try. Because how many times have we said, yeah, I'm going to try. And
we all know that means no.
Nothing, right?
I'll try to come to your party.
No, right? We're not. What does Yoda say? There's no try, right? Do or do not, something like that. So when we get to look at what is our strategy, we get to reverse engineer. So, okay, all of a sudden we're realizing we're in, that overwhelm or that freaked out place, or we're spiraling into the really unkind things to ourselves. Okay. We're here. We get to reverse engineer. This is a really easy way to think about it. When you're hungry, your body starts giving you cues way before you get to the point of, I need a Snickers or I'm going to throat punch somebody. Right?
Yeah.
Right. We've all been a 10 on the hunger scale. We all start at 0. We are not all super adept at attending to our bodies and what our bodies are telling us.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's overwhelm or into the shame spiral or the self-deprecation spiral or whatever place we're in, right? The level of anxiety that goes up, most of us do not go from 0 to 60 every single time. I'm not saying there's not the occasional 0 to 60, because there is. Mm-hmm. Mostly though, we take some time to get there. It might be a short amount of time, but we are getting cues in our body. One of my clients, this is something that we work on all the time. And it's recognizing the cues from your body. And so if we're talking about hunger, right, we know that first little, you're like, I should probably start thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, right? Or I should probably figure out how I'm going to get a snack in, because soon I'm going to be hungry. And then a little something else. And then the blood sugar starts to go a little bit. And then you're like, I'm a little bit cranky right now. And then you're like, I am starving, and you're eating all kinds of things that you wouldn't normally eat because you now just need to fill this hole in your belly, mm-hmm. right? And it's the same thing with overwhelm and those other things. When we reverse engineer it, we can see, okay, well, what was I thinking if I'm in the overwhelm state? What was I thinking 10 minutes ago? What was going on 10 minutes ago? What disempowering thought came in? Who did I let run my agenda? What happened? And then, okay, what happened 10 or 15 minutes before that? So that we can go all the way back to right here was the point where I started not attending to my body and to what was going on because I got busy or I got into a habit, which is what our bodies do. And we'll talk about habits and why they're automated in just a sec. But, and so the more we recognize so I could start attending here when I think this thought, when I feel this emotion in my body, I get to take a beat and remind myself that feeling overwhelmed is a choice, and I can come up with a better strategy for myself. And it's really about attending. It's about getting into our bodies. When we're just in our head all the time, we just continue to tell the story of why and because, right?
Yeah.
Why and because.
Stop calling me out, damn it, Mindy.
This is what I lovingly do.
I feel attacked.
This is why, stop it. She does not. She's
I know,
kidding.
I'm not. I am kidding.
We are unlocking your magic in front of all your viewers. This is unlocking your magic. I know you have at least one small child.
I have
if not
two.
More than one.
I have two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my beautiful daughters are grown women. And so we'll use small children as an example as well. Normally, what does the world teach us? And when one of your children is upset or starting to like get maybe a little out of control, kind of a thing, the first question that the world teaches us to ask is, why are you doing that? And the first answer is because, and it's a story that comes out of our head. What the better question is, I just found myself yelling. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm like, everybody listen. This is so important.
Everyone quiet down and listen.
The better question is, what are you feeling in your body right now? What is happening? Because you are going to get such a better answer. Quality of your life determined by the quality of your questions.
Yeah.
If we're always asking why, we're just going to continually get the story of because, right? We're going to stay in our story. But especially children.
Or you don't get any answers, because sometimes when I ask Teddy, why did you do that? You say, because I did. Like, well, that doesn't tell me anything.
See? Exactly.
That got us nowhere.
Exactly. And so if we start saying, what are you feeling in your body? What's going on right now? What do you want to feel that you're not feeling? What are you trying to find right now? Because a lot of times, right, they're trying to find safety in their body. And they only know how to act the way they're acting. This is their strategy, just like us. We all have all these strategies that we employ, right? And so when we ask better questions of ourselves, even, we could come up with better strategies. When we get out of that why, what is happening in my body right now that I can shift? Because ultimately, overwhelm and those things are unsafe. I'm feeling unsafe in my body.
I think it's iRobot. Did you ever see that movie? The one with Will Smith? There's another character who commits suicide early in the movie, but then he shows up again as a hologram to try to help lead Will Smith's character through finding the answers to what was really going on and all this stuff. But a lot of times he kept responding. The hologram would respond with, my answers are limited. You must ask the right questions. And here's what you've been saying just made me think of that. You must ask the right questions. My answers are limited otherwise.
And you limit yourself
when
you don't go deeper into the question. Right?
And you start to have a canned answer too for things that you might get asked, stuff that you revert to all the time. Well, because this is why, and that's just how it is.
Exactly. And we also then will take on beliefs in that, right? That aren't even ours. Like our parents, hey, everyone's doing the best they can with the tools they have.
Right.
Period. Please hear me say that I'm an NLP practitioner. We believe that 100%. Like this is not finger pointing, blame, shame, guilt, nothing. Everyone's doing the best they can with the tools that they have. Some people's tools suck. And those people have passed those beliefs on to other people who don't realize necessarily or yet that they get to no longer claim a belief that doesn't serve them, that wasn't theirs to begin with, that was just passed down to them, right? And so that is another piece of that, of what makes me think this? Not why. What makes me think this? How did I come to this belief that overwhelm is a good thing, right? Like that overwhelm is the only way to operate if you want to run a business and be a mom and do all the things, right? Because that's a lot of the message.
Like the hustle culture. Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that you can do it all. And when you get your priorities aligned, you'll know what all really is.
Yeah.
Because it's not all. Because you don't want all. You don't really want all. When your priorities are aligned, when you're asking yourself the deep, good questions, you will then really have your all, what you want.
Yeah.
You'll be ready to take the aligned action. It won't, I'm not saying that life and or work or any of those things is easy, but I am anti-hustle culture.
Me too.
Is there a time for hustle? Of course. Yes, there are moments. Hustle is necessary. This is not a sustainable way to live or run a business. And anybody that wants to fight me on it, let's go. Because this is where burnout comes
Yep.
from. This is where busy has become this badge of honor with women. Busy means nothing. It doesn't mean your life is fulfilling or any of those
or
things,
bragging
right?
that you only got 3 hours of sleep and
Gosh, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that sounds horrible.
I know.
Why would you want that? Ew.
I've never identified with that, and I found out. Do you know who Chalene Johnson is?
Sure.
So I don't know how much you follow her, but I've been following her for a long time, like since like the Turbo Jam days and all that kind of stuff. And I remembered seeing her post on Facebook and whatnot about, what time she went to bed, and she would always get up really crazy early to teach this class, but she's like, I always go to bed at this time. And then I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. She's going to go to bed a little early because she's got to get up at like 4:30 or something like that. I'm like, I still don't want to get up that early for a class, but okay, allow yourself proper sleep, yada, yada. And then I would even see like, she might respond to my comment or someone else's comments or make another post after the time that she had said that, she usually goes to bed. And I never called her out on it or anything, but I would just be sitting there thinking, aren't you supposed to be asleep? I thought you went to sleep like 2 hours ago. And come to find out, years later, she finally admitted that while she would be preaching about getting adequate sleep, she was surviving on like 3-4 hours of sleep a night, to the point where she actually had to start taking some action to take care of her brain properly before things started really spiraling out of control. And I'm like,
exactly.
Yeah. Like I've never identified with that whole like lack of sleep as a badge of honor thing. Like, I hate this lack of sleep that I've been living in. I can't wait to be out of it. We're getting there. We're getting there. But I would see people also post, just like other random people that I would follow, posting about, I was exhausted this morning, but I still got up at 4 a.m. to do my workout because I'm committed. I'm like, I would rather you get the sleep. I would much rather you sleep than work out, because really that's more important as far as I'm concerned. But now I'm just getting preachy. Like, this whole hustle culture and wearing all this stuff, this overwhelm, this burnout as a badge of honor, it isn't helping anybody. And to not only do that to yourself, but then preach that to other people, it pisses me off.
Well, so there's a couple of beautiful points in there, right? We get to do things that serve us best, right? And so we can look to things like that as examples of how we don't like, I don't want to live that way, right? Sleep is vital. Like, this is not some silly woo, energetic. No, sleep rinses and cleans your brain. It rinses and cleans your body. Your brain repairs, your body repairs. So many things happen when we sleep. And when we don't sleep, things start to shut down. I read I read about Chalene Johnson, the 131 method. I read the book, and she told a lot of her story.
I got that right back there on the shelf, actually.
Sleep deprivation can make people crazy, like not just forgetful, but do really like you are not yourself when you don't have enough sleep. And it is vital to your organs, to your function, to everything, to your productivity, to your personality, like so many things. Sleep is, I'm going to invite everyone to make sleep non-negotiable. And if you're one of those people that can, 6 hours, okay. And is that real, or is that something that you're telling yourself?
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I would love to say I could get by on 7, and I can, and I'm better with 7.5, like really better with 7.5. Is 8 nice? Yeah, it's really nice too. And I'll take it occasionally, but 7.5 is about my sweet spot. And that's like doing really, really good. There are people who can live on 6. Really check it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, so this is a phenomena, and I can't think of what it's called right now, but the sleep that you're talking about, because I've had a client that I've also worked on this with her, staying up super late in bed on her phone on social media because I deserve it. Right?
Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
but this is not just her. And I'm not calling her out. I'm letting everyone know, if you're thinking this is a widespread thing. It's called something. Oh, it's going to come to me later.
We can always like, you send me an audio clip and I'll like cut it and insert it in.
Insert it in. If you just go find like no sleep phenomena or something like that, like if you just go Google it, I'm going to give everybody a task, right? Like if you want to know more about it, but it is a phenomenon, because what's happening is we're giving to everyone else all day. We're giving to our job. We're giving to our kids. We're giving life, right? And then it comes time to go to sleep and you're like, well, I didn't get any me time. Well, here's the issue with the me time that keeps you up until 3 a.m. It's not actually a gift to yourself. Mm-hmm. And really reframing this. So this is something that we do in NLP. We reframe it. What are the benefits? Like, you're calling it me time. You're saying, I deserve this time. I deserve this alone time where I can just scroll mindlessly on my phone, right? Yes, there's no disagreement about any of that. When it is at the cost of your health, when it is at the cost of everything else, there's something's a little askew. And so we really get to look at what actually is the bigger gift: going to sleep so that you're highly functional in the morning, and finding another chunk of time to do your mindless scroll, because there's time. Or is the bigger gift not getting sleep and having this amazing me time? And my client finally was like, oh my gosh, right? Like, of course this isn't a gift for me. I just think that it is, because I deserve this. Yes, you do. Every one of you listening, you deserve the moon. Yes, you do. We can get there. Mm-hmm. Let's get there in a healthy way. Like, you can figure out the time for that. You can find someone to help you too, if you want, to help you figure out the time for that. It's about a reframe. Like, what really are the benefits of this to me? What really are the costs? When I go to sleep earlier, it's truly a gift for me, because I function better. I'm nicer. Mm-hmm. I don't have bags under my eyes. Like, I'm pretty vain, so I'm going to throw that in. Like, I look better.
I look better. That's kind of along the lines of what I tell JJ about, I'm trying to talk to him, even though he's, 20 months or younger in the, past few months. JJ, I can be a better mommy to you if you let mommy sleep.
Exactly. It's the truth, though. It's the truth. And right next to sleep, okay, now I'm going to preach. Right next to sleep, water.
Yeah.
Hydration is so vital to your brain function, to your organ function, to your skin. Again, like, I want to look younger than I am forever. I'm a huge hydrator, right? It is, I want you to think about, if you use a sponge, that dried up sponge on the counter in your kitchen. This is your brain when it's not hydrated. I'm not lying to you. Like, this is what happens. Mm-hmm. That's why when we're dehydrated, we are less productive. We're less focused, right? It takes us a lot longer to get stuff done. We get overwhelmed easier. And that's because our brain and bodily systems, they need water. We don't make water. Our bodies are made up of like 75 to 85% water-ish. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the statistic, right? And the only water that our body has is the water that we put in it.
Yeah. So
if you're not hydrating on a regular basis, you're missing out on like being the next level awesome of you.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, seriously. I'm not, I mean it, like, with everything. Hydration and sleep are, if you do nothing else,
and coffee is not a substitute for water.
Oh, no.
But there's water. I'm just running it through the magic beans first.
No. Here's my own little personal rule for coffee, because I love coffee and I could drink way too much of it. Uh-huh. It's really hard on our guts for some people too, just so you ladies know. When I drink coffee, because I do, I have a cup of coffee and then I have a big glass of water. and then I have a cup of coffee. I know some people drink alcohol that way. I drink coffee that way. Cup of coffee, big glass of water. The other thing is I get a little full and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want another cup of coffee. Like I got beverage in me up here, right? Like I'm good. I'm good to go now. Yeah. That's a way to, stay hydrated.
Well, that's how I tell people about drinking water when they're admitting that they're not drinking enough. We turn it into a drinking game, but with water and not alcohol.
Exactly.
Like whenever this happens during the day, whenever this person laughs, whenever that person walks past your desk, you're going to take a sip of water.
Exactly. Whatever you can do. I love that you said that because I said, well, let's talk about habits and why habits automate and why they do what they do. So anything that we can do to make a new habit easier, fun, like all the things, it will be easier to create, to implement, and to keep long-term. And then what we want to do is whatever the old habit is that we're kicking to the curb, we make that one so difficult to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can do that with a habit, like you said about the water, if a new habit that you want is drinking more water, then you buy a beautiful sparkly water bottle or whatever it is, fun glasses to drink your water out of. Feel free to add lemon or lime or but
please don't do the flavor packets.
Yeah, no. Real fruit. Real fruit, like a lemon or a lime.
I beg with people. I'm like, please don't do the Crystal Light. Please just get a lemon and squeeze it in there.
Exactly. I mean, if you're cucumber, mint, like anything, make it, as fun, or drink out of a beautiful wine glass, like whatever you can do to really the micro habits to create the macro habit.
I like the wine glass idea. I never thought of doing that.
Right?
It's so simple, but I never
do to make it fun. And keep it accessible. If you really want to drink more water, then be the woman who makes water accessible. There's some in the fridge. There's a pitcher on the counter. There's whatever. Right? It's in my office. I don't go anywhere without it. I have a water bottle that goes with me. Like all of that. Right? We make it more accessible. Yeah. We just, anytime we have a macro habit that we want to create, drinking water, getting more sleep. Oh, we'll talk about the sleep and what we can do around that. Like working out, meditating, like making more money in our business, whatever it is, whatever that macro habit is that we want, then we set ourselves up for success with micro habits all the way around it.
Yeah.
So if it's sleep, if we want to get more sleep, some of the micro habits that we would create are, a nighttime ritual to tell my body we are powering down and we are going to bed. So one of the micro habits would be maybe no phone. It's funny. I'm pointing at my bed literally because we're moving and my temporary office is in my bedroom, but we're moving to this next week. And so the next time we do a podcast, you're going to see me in a different office. So I'm literally pointing to my bed. Like my bed is not a place for, you get to set up these micro habits. Like it's a no phone zone. So my body knows when I lay down in the bed, like we're not going to be blue screening it. Like that's not going to happen in the bed. Maybe we do a glass of tea, chamomile tea, or a mug of, sleepy time tea or something like that. Take a hot shower, wash our face, some little micro habits, a little routine to set our body up to say, oh, we're going to power down. We're going to go to sleep. Like these are things that we're doing for ourselves. So any little ones like that. And the same thing in the morning habits, usually with sleep, it's the pre-habits that help us the most, right? Like setting ourselves up before, like an earlier bedtime, that kind of a thing. And in the morning, then getting up when the alarm goes off. Like snooze is not your friend. It just, it's not your friend. If you want to be up at 6 a.m., set the alarm for 6 a.m. and get out of bed. I can hear a lot of people like, are you kidding me? It does not serve you to hit snooze a bunch of times. Like you're only making yourself more tired, believe it or not.
I hate that I discovered the snooze button, however many ages ago that was, because I remember when I was younger and I would get up as soon as my alarm went off and I'd be fine. Once I discovered that snooze button, it was all over. And
we've all been there.
Oh yeah.
All been there.
I'll hit snooze so many times I won't even realize an hour has passed by. I'll think it's been like 20 minutes and I'll look up and be like, oh crap.
Right. So setting up those micro habits, if we want to work out more, and we're going to a gym, like I know it's still a pandemic, right? So some of us are going to a gym, some of us aren't. Maybe we're working out at home. A micro habit for taking better care of our bodies that way, movement, is setting the sacred space, like an appointment on your calendar with yourself. Like, this is when it's going to happen. And maybe it's the same time every day, or maybe each day you set a different time depending on your schedule, but you don't break a date with yourself.
Yeah.
So there's one piece. Having the clothes ready is
dinner
another
with
piece.
Myself. I can't cancel that again.
Letting your support system know, like, this is my movement time for my body, right? Like, or this is my meditation time. It's non-negotiable. I'll be available right after. Like, you're, kind of a thing. Letting other people get on board with you too in the micro habits, that way, not depending on them to let you make it happen. Because that's living. Now we're back to living at effect as opposed to living at cause. But, being able to say, this is my space for this. And I am, if we're talking to, significant others, like, you're a parent too, and you get to parent.
Yeah.
This is not babysitting or watching your own kids, right? Like, this is my time. I'm going to do this and parent. And then you absolutely will find time for you, right? I mean, there are trade-offs like that.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned about making it accessible, like whatever it is that you want to create, make it accessible. Because even just the simple act of physically making something accessible, I find that makes it so much easier for me. And I don't know if you probably have the book Atomic Habits. Have you read that?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That is like the best book of
I love that book. It made me feel so much better about
James Clear is amazing.
Like, you don't suck. You just you need to make things easy. And
better strategy.
I always thought, like, one habit that I always wanted to try to be better about, I've kind of completely fall by the wayside right now, but I do want to get back to it. But it was something that I would always tell myself, like, okay, you're being stupid that you're letting something as simple as this get in your way. But then I read that book. I'm like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. It's not using it as an excuse, but it does make sense now.
Absolutely.
The physical thing, like, for whatever reason, my husband would always stack up his books and other stuff around my keyboard, so that anytime I wanted to go practice on the keyboard or do something, write a song, whatever, I would always have to move a ton of stuff out of the way. And even if it only takes 30 seconds to move that stuff, that physical block was there for me. Like, I have to move this to get to there and make the space. I can't just go sit down and do it. So I'm just not going to do it.
Exactly.
Or something like,
totally
wanting to be better about taking vitamins or something like that. If they're locked away, or not locked away, but put away in a cabinet, out of sight, out of mind, I'm not going to do it. They got to be literally in my face, staring me in the face, where I'm going to see them in the morning, so that I look at them and go, oh yeah, I have to take those.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up about accessibility. And so here's how habits work in our brain. Your brain loves automation. It wants things to be simple and easy. Your brain does not know the difference between a habit that serves you and a habit that doesn't. It doesn't know good from bad, okay, at all. It just knows, oh, this is automated and we burn very few calories when we put her into this automation. So let's do it. Like, we'll just put her into this automation. And so what was starting as a habit of you wanting to play your keyboard became a habit of not playing the keyboard, because that was the path of least resistance.
Yep.
It was the easiest thing to do, was to get pissed off about the stuff on the keyboard and not play and not move it, right? And that's just, so knowing that, like, to create those new neural pathways, we make the new habit, right? We create the identity. Here's what else James Clear says. Like, this is huge. And I've already talked about identity with you, and this is why. Habits that have an outcome, like, I want to run a 5K race. Okay, that's good. Those are awesome. Those are amazing habits. Then what? Instead, we get to create habits that, instead of I'm going to run a 5K race, like, we become a runner.
Yeah.
So it's not just a thing, an outcome. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm becoming a healthy woman, right? Like, what is her identity? Yes, she's lost 20 pounds. And like, what choices is she making on the regular to do X, Y, Z? And this isn't about diets or anything like that. Just using that as an example, right? Like, whatever identity you want to take on.
See, now you're taking me back to when I was a teen and I wanted to lose a little bit of weight and, get that flat stomach and whatnot, which I'm still trying to get. But anyway, before I knew better, my thought process was thinking that all of these skinny girls ate the same way that I did. They just magically were skinny. So I'm like, okay, if I can just eat healthy for a little while and then I start looking the way that I want to look, then I can go back to eating all this stuff and getting my fast food, but I'll still be the same. Like my brain didn't really make that connection of, no, you have to create lifelong healthy habits. It's not just until you hit that one goal and then you revert back.
Exactly. And in your identity, so this is the best example I can come up with. Do you smoke?
No.
Okay. Did you ever smoke?
Nope.
No.
Asthma.
Okay. So it's pretty fair to say that you don't ever wake up in the morning and think, I wonder if I'll have a cigarette today.
Yeah.
No, you don't, right?
Right.
It's not in your identity. Your identity is that of a non-smoker. Mm-hmm. This is, so you would never consider, I wonder if I'm going to smoke today. That's not in your identity. So if someone wants to be healthier and part of that journey is losing 20 pounds and part of that journey is ditching fast food, right? If this is what someone wants to do, they become the woman who chooses other options than fast food.
Yeah.
Right? They don't drive that way home, past the place that feels like it fills a need that it's really not filling.
Yeah.
Right? Like all those things we be at our core, the things that we want. We literally are becoming constantly. And like two things I want to add to that. If you start to identify as something too constrictively, this also does not serve you. And I had my own personal experience with this. I am a runner and more. Like there is more to me than that. I didn't start running until I was like 39 years old.
That's not possible because you're only 35, right?
I was going to say, so not very long at all, right? So I've been running about 10 years. And when I first started running, right, I definitely identified as a runner. Well, about 6 or 7 years into my journey, I had an injury and I couldn't run. And it was devastating.
Yeah.
Because in my identity, I was a runner. And if I was only a runner, what could there possibly be? And this might sound really simplistic to some people, and other people are like, oh, sister, I hear you, right? Mm-hmm. So instead, I made peace with, and there was this is the other part that I want to say. I didn't have to make peace with it. I got to. I get to is something huge that I say all the time. Big difference between the things I have to do and the things I get to do, because I don't like to be told what to do. So I don't want to have to do anything, right? I like choice. I love
that you said that, because I think I needed that reminder. I had like a wash over me when you said that.
Oh, I'm so glad. This is huge. Like of course, energy and I get to are like my taglines, right?
Yeah.
Like this is really, and I believe them and I live them out. So I made the choice to make peace with the fact that someday I might not be able to run anymore. And it was going to be perfectly okay, because I would still find ways to move my body that made me happy. When we are so into an identity and we don't let that be broader and wider, it can really do a disservice to us. So create the identity of a runner who also, right, does whatever else, right, to move her body, right? It's really vital to us. We don't want to close things off. I'm constantly teaching and coaching women to open. Like, use words that open possibilities for you. Use actions that open possibilities. Think thoughts that open instead of close, so that you have more choice. Because that's how you show up at cause, being in control, knowing that you have choice in this, not that it's thrust upon you, right? What do I have that's a choice in this? The way I show up.
Yeah.
Right? I might be in this situation and not have had a choice in the situation. I get to show up as my best self in a situation that I don't like, or in a situation that I didn't choose.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. There's so much to process here, but I love all of it. My brain is just like, in a good way. It's like, oh my God, all this stuff, all this and that. And we're going to use this, and we're going to implement that, and we're going to say this.
Okay, one little tiny thing at a time.
I know,
guys.
I know.
Everybody, whoa, everybody slowly roll. And ask yourself, like, what's one small shift that I would like to make? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to avoid? What's the aligned action that I'm willing to take? Like one small shift. And it may be mental rehearsal that you want to start mentally rehearsing. Like all the things all at once is the recipe for, unsuccessfulness. So I'm asking you not to do that to yourself.
I know.
And you can bookmark this episode and come back and try the next thing and try on the next thing, implementing the next thing.
I was thinking pretty early on in this interview already. I'm like, I don't really typically go back and listen to my podcast episodes. When I do, it's the day of, when I'm trying to find the audio clip that I want to make. And then sometimes I might listen a little bit longer, like, okay, is there, did I find the best one? Do I want to use a different one? And I'm like, I might have to save this one and go back and listen to it a few times.
A little coaching session for everyone, right? This is what it's like to work with a coach.
Oh my God. So much, but all so good. So good. I'm so glad I met you, Mindy.
Me too.
Is it too soon to say I love you? I love you.
No, absolutely not. Love you right back. Love you right back.
I feel like I need to bring you back at some point too.
I would love that. Can I tell you a secret now?
Yeah.
Okay. 9 times out of 10, I'm invited back to podcasts.
Really?
Like there's too much to talk about. You have to come back. You have to come back. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. So thank you. I would love to come back. I would love to come back. We can go deeper into limiting beliefs or anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
For sure.
Well, why don't you just wrap up and let everyone know where they can find you, how they can connect with you, and tap into your beautiful energy?
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. Instagram is probably my favorite place to hang out. And I'm just my name, Mindi Huebner, MindiHuebner. And you can find me that name everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe, where I do lots of different kinds of videos. I've started a series called How To Fridays. And so you really get a how to shift something, how to change something. So you can find me all there. And then I have a gift for everyone as well. And it is a downloadable mental rehearsal. So it's a guided meditation walking you through a mental rehearsal. And we'll put the link in the show notes. I'll get you hooked up with that.
Sweet. Yes. All of those links, everything you just listed, we will make sure everything is in the show notes so they are easily findable. And we're going to be best friends, Mindy.
We're going to have real coffee in person.
Yes.
Since we're close to each other.
Well, thank you so much, Mindy.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. I'm in love. Mindy's my new best friend, whether she wants to be or not. That's just how it is. Of course, Mindy is my new best friend. I'm not a creeper, I swear. So much to digest in this podcast. So I think for the first time ever, I'm going to encourage you to go back and listen to this one again, and maybe even again. Take some notes. I was taking notes while Mindy was talking, and I'm glad that I know better than to try to do a million things at once and take on some new habits all at once. I, in fact, always tell people, take things one thing at a time. But there's so much here. I'm like, I need this, and I need that, and I need this, and I need to think that way. So I'm glad that she called me out just a little bit and was like, one thing at a time. So one thing at a time. And I think my first one thing, I need to step more into my, of course, energy, because for everything that I talk and preach about, I still struggle a little bit with staying in that energy. And especially with walking into this new area of Reiki, which, and I say new, not because I haven't been doing it for, it's been about almost a year now, but it's still a new venture for me, especially now reaching master level and having so much more of my future in front of me and really being able to do what I say in the beginning of my podcast and trying to design my life, designing my life the way that I want it to be. I'm going to have Mindi in my head all the time now, correcting all the things that I say and the way that I talk to myself. But I like it. It's a good thing. It's necessary. I need it. I want it. I love it. And now I sound like, was that Tim McGraw? I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. And yes, I totally want to have Mindi back again. We have so much more to talk about. I bet we could have gone for at least another hour, if not longer. So listen to this one again. Pick your one thing that you want to start with. And you know what? Hop into the Facebook group and tell me what one thing from this interview you're going to start with. What did you need most out of what she said? What struck a chord with you? Tell me what resonated. Share this podcast. Take a screenshot. Do a screen flow. Tag me. Tag Mindi. Let us both know what you liked. And I would like to know what you need more of, what you would find helpful. If you believe that Mindi is the coach for you, please reach out to her. Please follow her. Find her YouTube channel. Go download that freebie and connect with her for that energy and that joy and take it that step further for that coaching. If you're like, I would just like to try a Reiki session, there's a link for that as well. So please check that out. I would love to be able to help you on an energetic level, and I would love for you to connect with Mindi and have her help you in the mindset area. Thank you, as always, for listening, and I will see you next time.